Hi and welcome to today's video. Today's video is just a card overview for Universus. And by that I mean we're going to go over every card type in Universus and roughly explain what they do. First off, you have your icon, your character card. These guys are what you usually build the deck around, and they give you your theme and mechanics of the deck. For example, Nicholas Wolfwood here likes ranged and weapon attacks, so my deck is based around that, swinging as many ranged weapon attacks as possible. They also tell you the health and hand size that you'll be playing with. Usually, the higher the one, the lower the other. For example, a 5 hand size character might have something like 30 to 35 health, or a 7 hand size character may have something like 17 to 20 health. And then on the average, 6 is mid-20s. Character cards also tell you your primary and attune symbols. What are symbols? Was it 3 little circles there? When you pick a character, you also pick a primary symbol. And by that I mean you pick one of those 3 circles. And all the cards in your deck must match that symbol, with the exception of if those circles are squares. If they're squares, they're tuned cards, and you can run the other 2 symbols as attuned cards if those symbols are squares. And character cards can also be committed to pay for checks, kind of like foundations, but we'll get to them. Characters in your deck. Usually characters aren't in your deck. They are a +1 on top of your deck. But some characters do care about having other characters in the deck, such as Twice or Toga 4 over there. Why would you do that? Well, characters like Twice care about building characters into his stage. Building characters is like building foundations. Other characters like Toga care about removing them for extra benefits. Other reasons why you might want characters in your decks is for buddy blocks or good, nice big 6 checks. Notice that these characters have a nice 0 block modifier mid-block, which makes them very useful in a pinch if you need to block an incoming attack. But usually, these slots can be filled with your attacks and foundations if you need them. If you're low on cards, feel free to throw in some characters to try and help with your checks and your blocks. Another reason to run extra characters is for gauge benefits. This is a retro only thing, so we don't really need to talk about this. Other things of note. Like I said earlier, not all characters have 3 symbols. Some have more, and some have less. This doesn't mean anything else, apart from the fact that they have access to more tuned symbols, or more symbols in general. They still need to pick 1 primary symbol to build their deck from. Deck of Year doesn't get 2 extra primary symbols. And some characters can't be in decks at all. Notice how all 4 of these are missing big numbers. Your difficulties, your blocks, and your checks. Character cards that lack these features cannot go in decks. What do you do if you check nothing? Well, nothing. Because they can't go in decks, you get disqualified. A thing to know about not really characters, but health, is that if a character or a rival ends at half or less than half health, they enter desperation. What is desperation? Well, it's a subtle keyword that appears in some cards that makes the card's difficulty the desperation number. That's all it is, but it's something to keep a note out of, in case your opponent drops a half health and starts playing cheaper cards. Speaking of playing cards, attack cards. These are your big, flashy combo pieces. This is what you do to win the game, as you play your attack cards. They have some features, like a speed and zone, and damage. Speed being the number here, this zone being this downward arrow, you also get mid and high, and damage being the explosion positioned below that. When you play an attack and it successfully checks, you also go through the attack sequence, which consists of the enhance, block, and damage steps, which we'll cover in another video, the anatomy of a turn. Attack cards usually come in 2 varieties, your pokes to see whether or not your rival is willing to take damage, or if they kind of want to block, see what they're up to, and your kill moves, your big combo pieces, your finishers in other games. Like most fighting games, you have a jab and you have a big combo blowout. Attacks have specific keyword abilities, which are keywords found in the keyword line that have specific abilities, hence the name. But common keyword abilities are stun, EX, powerful, echo, throw, combo, things like that. We'll get to them. First, we're going to go with the enhanced ones. You know they're enhanced ones because they're coloured the same way as enhance is coloured, which means they can be used at the same timing window, the enhanced step. Stun is simple. Your rival simply commits that many foundations. 2. So I'll say enhance, stun 2. My rival then has to commit, turn sideways, 2 of their foundations. The other 2 keyword abilities that are worth noting is EX and powerful. They do roughly the same thing, but to different stats. They allow you to discard momentum to gain a buff in their relative stat equal to their value. What I mean by that is that, for example here, this card, Patchwork Baby, has EX3, which means if I discard 1 momentum, this attack gains +3 speed. If I discard 2 momentum, this attack gets +6 speed, and so on and so forth. Same with Powerful. I discard 1 momentum, it gains +3 damage. I discard another 2 momentum, it gains +6 damage. These numbers are variable and vary from attack to attack, same with stun, but that's how they work. You discard 1 momentum you discard as much momentum as you want and gain X much speed or damage, depending on the value of the keyword. Another keyword is Echo, also that spends momentum. When an attack with Echo fully resolves after damage, you may discard a momentum to play that attack again. It's 2-in-1 value. I was wrong, you still need to make the check. But once the card has been played the second time, you flip it and you cannot use the Echo ability again. You cannot keep echoing cards. Then you have static keyword abilities such as Throw and Combo. Throw is simple. Even if the attack is blocked, even if it matches the same zone, it still deals half damage. Simple as that. It's like Trample or Piercing in your other games. Combo checks for the card behind it for a matching thing. It can be combo, it can be difficulty, it can be a zone. If it matches what the brackets are looking for, then you get the ability, such as Binding Armbar here has it looks for another combo card that came before it in the card pool, and if I've got it, I can seal 1 rival asset or foundation. Speaking of foundations, these are your boring, grey cards, but they are what let you do the fun things by making your checks. You can commit them sideways, like lands in other card games, Magic the Gathering. You can commit them sideways to cover 1 difficulty of a card. They also have high check values, so loading your deck up with tons of these guarantees you playing your high difficulty cards, as well as them costing usually no more than 3. 3, 1, 0. They're usually really easy to play, and help you get your big expensive fancy stuff out. They have text on them, and usually that means that they have to do something. They encourage your game plan, either buffing your attacks, speeds, damage, things like that, or slowing your rival down by making it slower, or removing throw, things like that. They keep you going, keep you stable, and are your bread and butter. You do things, you kind of run through the motions with your foundations once you get to know them. A keyword of note on foundations, though, is deadlock. If your rival is at 11 or more foundations, they're at deadlock, which gives you benefits. For example, if my rival had 11 or more foundations, I can then start committing this to give my attacks throw. So, watch out if your opponent has deadlock on the field. You might not want to go over 11 or more foundations. Now the next 3 sets of cards are all going to have this binary line of text on it, used in specific strategies. Ignore that, it was a thing in the presentation. Anyway, action cards are your blue cards. These are essentially your quick effects, your combat tricks, your instant speed abilities, your counter spells, and your combat tricks as well. I said that. You play these from hand during the window that they are looking for. For example, Skillful Maneuvers down there does say enhance +4 speed. So if I wanted to play Skillful Maneuvers, I have to wait till the enhanced step, play it from my hand, and then make the check and then get +4 speed. They are meant to surprise your opponent. Like I said, they're combat tricks. They're your big pieces of interaction in the game. And then you have your asset cards. These are your green cards. Once again, they're used for specific strategies, and you build and use them like foundations. So you play them into your card pool, and at the end of your turn you build them down to your stage, but they cannot be committed to pay for difficulty costs. Other than that, you use them like foundations where you use the responses and enhances as you go to help get benefits and hinder your opponent. These are effectively your continuous spells or artifacts and enchantments in other games. A keyword of note though is terrain. These then effectively act like stadiums from Pokemon where only one can be play at a time. If your opponent then plays a terrain, your terrain goes to discard. It's just how it goes. The final card type so far in Universus, the newest card type, is backup. These are your pink cards. They are like your planeswalkers from Magic the Gathering. You use them like assets, you play them in the card pool, you build them, you do not commit them to pay for difficulties. Instead, they come in with health, stamina as it's called, and they use stamina to get their abilities going. Because they have health, stamina, they can also be attacked. When an attack is played, you can declare it either to the character or to the backup. If a backup has been declared as a target, you still get the enhanced step, but you do skip the block step and go straight to damage. If a backup doesn't have enough stamina to pay for its own costs, you cannot use that ability on the backup. These are effectively planeswalkers. Whoa, sorry. Sorry once again, microphone. Anyway, that's the end of today's video. I hope you learned something. If you didn't, I'm sorry, probably the video is not for you then. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I probably missed something or didn't explain something very well. I tend to do that, and I would love to re-clarify myself so that you can all enjoy this great card game as soon as possible. Anyway, that's all I have to say for you from this one. Say to you on this one. I'll see you in the next video. Farewell.